Okay, so let's look at the basic functions of the autopilot for the Dash 8 100 by Virtuacol. So I've already put in my flight plan. So today we're flying from Auckland up to Whangarei. Flight time around about 29 minutes, 30 minutes. Weather isn't looking that good, particularly the further north we get. Nice big storm clouds sitting right over the top of Whangarei Airport. So that should be interesting. One of the really important things to do is make sure that the circuit breaker's panel light or whatever it is on. If that's not, then a whole lot of this functionality won't work. And of course on the overhead, master batteries, all of those things, external power is obviously the generators once we get the engine started. But they're quite important in terms of ensuring correct functionality of the autopilot. So the first thing we need to do, we've got a cruise altitude of 11,000 feet. The first thing we need to do is select altitude. So we go to the primary AP panel, select altitude select. Now if we don't do that, we can't actually change the altitude here. It could be a feature, could be a bug for all I know. I don't know what the autopilot is like on a Q100 or Dash 8 100, but for this autopilot you definitely need to hit Alt Select first and then adjust it to suit the altitude that you want. Today it's a short flight, so we'll set our altitude for 11,000 feet. So that's set. We then need to click Altitude Select again before we click vertical speed. So there's no VNAV for this aircraft, so you have to control your climb through vertical speed. Now it does an okay job of that. It's not perfect, but this is the way you do it. And once again, we then go in and we select our vertical speed. So I normally set it to about 1500 initially on this aircraft. Once again, I don't know what the numbers are, but that's normally what I've set mine for. And then that's good to go. So nav select, the arrows line up, that's good. Flight director lines up with this, your damper lines up with this. So that's all good. Now in terms of our navigation, we don't want VOR, we want auxiliary, and you can see here a couple of things happen. So first of all, it goes to AUX over here, and then in this area it's showing GPS. Okay, so that means the aircraft is now reading the flight plan. If you don't have it set up that way, then it's going to do all sorts of weird things. The other thing, which I've just done, is then to activate it, you need to press it again to get LNAV. All right, and that will now follow the track in our FMC. Now, obviously, if you want to tune to heading mode, you can do that. And all you need to do is move the heading bug here, and that will, and you can see there it's tracking across both screens. So that's all good. But of course we want it to be in navigation mode or LNAV mode. So we're now set up. As I said, there's no VNAV, but you use that through your vertical speed. So it's kind of that simple. We will take off, we will activate it. I'll show you it in various phases of flight so you can see what I do. And I'm not saying it's right, but that's what I've learned and it seems to work for me. So I'm just going to assume that that's okay. All right, well, I will set up takeoff and we'll pick this up again shortly once we're in flight and I'm ready to activate the autopilot. And you can see there how it's going to track then the FMC flight plan. Now before I do that, one of the other things I do is I always create the flight plan in SimBrief through the 2024 EFB. Now you can't import SimBrief flight plans into this particular aircraft. You actually have to load up the waypoints, the departures, the arrivals, SIDS and stars. They all work through the FMC, but you have to do that yourself. You also can't import the weights either. But I import it into the EFB so I can then track it on my flight planner. because then I just want to be able to cross-reference in terms of what's in the FMC, what's in my flight plan, and then I can gauge, are we on track or have I got a problem? So far that's worked well for me. Obviously, you do what works for you, but I find this useful for me, at least for these, and particularly these shorter legs. But anyway, I'll get set up and we'll get ready for departure, and I will pick this up again shortly. Okay, so obviously we're now in the taxi, which isn't easy in this aircraft. It taxis very quickly, so not indicative of the real aircraft at all, I would say. Not easy at all. Hopefully they will release a patch that will deal with that sooner rather than later. Crazy. Okay, so landing lights on. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Cool. Alright, we're good to go. Landing lights on. Full power. This is turned off. Strong winds in Auckland today, so this will be an interesting flight. A few lumps and bumps to be sure. I don't hate the sounds. They seem to have done a fairly good job, but look, notice that speed. We're already... Ooh. It's not just the wind either. Gear up. Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to engage the autopilot. So we should be climbing, it should go down to about 1500 feet, which it is. If we track our progress on the EFB, we should see that we're due to take a right-hand turn fairly quickly. Flaps up. Yep, so we can see there now she's tracking the flight plan the way we expected her to. So given our speed, so it was currently set at takeoff power. We'll update that to maximum climb power. Now I honestly haven't noticed any significant change, so I don't know if that actually makes a difference or not. It doesn't quite hold the track as well as it could, but it does settle down after a wee while. Once again, we're set. Yeah, we're set in terms of following our flight plan. Oh dear, it is quite finicky. There's so many small, annoying bugs with this aircraft. Like there's a lot in here that does quite well, I have to be fair on that, but there's also a lot in here that is just very frustrating. At the same time, you're paying $16, 16 NZD, so I can't complain too much. So it's now just going to track. Obviously I still need to manage the vertical speed for our altitude, but it is set for 11,000 feet, so it will recognise 11,000 feet and it will automatically level off at that point, which is good as well. So I don't have to worry about, all I have to worry about is the climb. I just monitor my power. As you can see, it's starting to drop off a little bit, so at that stage I can choose to lower the nose. Now turning on a Noda, so that's good, heading north to Copper. So out of the immediate Auckland area, the weather's not too bad. So we're flying over Virtuacol, and I actually live very close to Virtuacol. I'm looking out the window at the weather, and it's pretty accurate actually. There's quite a bit of sun and you can see that. So that's good. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is depicting the weather pretty accurately for where I'm currently sitting. We should get altitude warning, and then at 11,000 the nose will drop and we'll be into cruise. Nothing coming up on the weather radar, so that's good. It's another interesting feature as well. You can have the vertical profile, which is quite interesting. And there we go, you can see we're just coming up at 11,000 feet now, the nose is dropping. And it does a pretty good job of maintaining your cruise altitude. And there we go, it's settled onto 11,000 feet, which is good. Okay, so we're getting close to our top of descent. So we're currently in LNAV mode, we're sitting at alt, which we've set at 11,000 feet. So I want to change our target altitude now. First of all, I need to turn off altitude, because it won't let me change it without that. Then I need to click on altitude select. Now the aircraft's going to maintain 11,000 feet, it's not going to do anything weird, which is good. So I'm going to drop this down to 2,500. I'm going to go into vertical speed. Now currently the vertical speed is set to 0, so we're going to maintain 11,000 feet. But this sets up for our top of descent, so we can then decide what are we going to be. So as I said, my descent will be fairly aggressive, so it'll probably be close to 2,000 feet. The system is quite specific on how it wants you to do things. Now one of the things I haven't tried is the approach function. I've manually flown ILS approaches. There is no ILS in Whangarei, so it's not something we'll try today. What this is a reflection that we've got an RNAV approach set up in the system, whereas we don't in the EFB. So if I go back here, approach, so RNAV 6, and we have selected leech, change procedure. Okay, so it's bypassing SF and it's going directly for leech, so that makes sense. It's actually doing what it's supposed to do. So we're heading for leech, then Omana, then add keys, then WR601, which is exactly what we want, and then it's taking us into runway 6, which is exactly what we've got here. So I've removed FS out of my flight plan, and yep, straight for leech, then in. That's the one. There we go. So now what's in my FB reflects what the aircraft is actually flying, and if I need to do a misapproach or something like that, then absolutely we'll go out to SF and then back around and have another go, but I'm hoping we'll be able to get it on our first try. But we'll see how we go. Okay, so I'm going to start the descent now. So I need to get out of alt select mode. Vertical speed's already set at -600. And this is where often it doesn't function as well. So we'll see how it behaves today. So far it's doing the right thing, but you can see there's a little bit of bounce. But it's holding the track reasonably well. So I'm just going to turn my lights on again. I know we're a little bit high, but we're probably the only traffic in the area. So once we get to leech, I'm actually going to update the flight plan. I want to ignore Omana, so I'm going to delete Omana out of it, and I need to delete you, so then we should go direct to Adkis. So I'm just shortening the flight time. Obviously our speed has picked up a bit now as we've increased our descent, and that's fine. I don't have an issue with that at this point. These things tend to slow down pretty fast. So there we go, we're now heading direct to Adkis, and I just drop down in my this a little bit. And there's the airport over there. So I'm just going to start slowing down, increasing our rate of descent down to 2,200. So the weather's actually looking pretty good across the airport itself. So maybe that cloud did shift. I know very strong winds today, so the weather's shifting fairly quickly. So I'm changing
Ladies and gentlemen, we are close to landing at the
our
destination
power
area.
back to
Ensure the
takeoff
window is
power.
open, the tray table is closed, and the seat back is fully upright. Stow the footrest,
I'm going
video
to
screen,
switch to
headset,
manual
fasten and
soon.
adjust the
As
seat.
soon as we hit Edgis and turn right, I will look to take over and fly manually. Probably a little bit steep. Just pull back the power again. Drop some flaps. I find that it does bounce quite a bit in terms of flaps. So I typically drop them fairly early, just to give the aircraft time to adjust. So I would change my vertical speed, but we're still dropping fairly steeply. Alright, so thanks very much, Autopilot.
Too low gear, too low gear.
Knowledge. Launch of flaps. We can fly this visually. So it'll give us a little bit more power. Yep, bit of wind. That much power. So we've got runway in sight. Drop the gear. Flaps. Yeah, with the flaps, full flaps. Yep, that's what I mean. Just a bit more power. Bit high. Still too high. Yeah, that wind. Interesting.
Welcome to the destination airport. Please keep your seatbelt fastened and don't get up from your seat until the aircraft is completely stopped in the terminal. Don't forget that the contents of the upper luggage rack could move during the flight. Be careful when opening it. Passengers in transit with a connection to another destination, please go to the airline counter at this airport.
Not the best landing
Our
I've
staff
had
will
for a
gladly help
while,
you in the
but
process. The captain and crew, we thank you
like
for
we will
flying
get
with
to
us
walk
and
away
wish
from
you a
it.
happy stay.
It was a fairly strong wind. At least that's my excuse anyway. Would have been a bit of hair raising for the poor old passengers though. So Autopilot's now fully off. Landing lights are off. I'll take the taxi light off as well. Going straight in, sorry. Oh gosh. Go, and we should be good to shut down. So I always make sure we've got external power on, generators off, and engine shut down. There we are. Not too bad. Off, front door open. And there we are. That's us. Hope you found this useful. Cheers.